Standing in one corner, we have the tall, the blonde, the masculine, the proud, holding the holy axe Rita, the proud Escanor! And to my left, we have the malicious, the evilness, the intent of all the demon clan, Estarossa. Now give it up, folks. Let's get ready for a brutal, brutal fight. How's it going there, everyone? It's Mr. Zen over here with a brand new Nanatsu no Taizai chapter discussion, folks. And for today's segment, I'm going to be talking about Taizai chapter 184, Clash of the Titans, folks. And in this chapter, folks, it literally is no pun in itself. These two titans were clashing in itself. But before I get into that little discussion, folks, let's go on to what else happened in the whole entirety of the chapter itself. And yes, folks, I love the way that this chapter was suspenseful, and it was pure adrenaline because of the fact that Estarossa and Escanor's fight was amazing. But that's just it for right now. That's it for right now. Now let's hold on. Let's go move on into something else before we move on to that little scene. Now, before all that fight was going on, Nakaba actually showcased something else around the whole Britannia while Escanor and Estarossa are fighting. And that is basically Zeldras and Fraudrin, what they're doing around Britannia. And yes, folks, we actually get to see how and why people are actually joining the Ten Commandments. And that is thanks to Zeldras himself. Because when Zeldras and Fraudrin they were just, chatting amongst themselves. They were just saying, oh, I can't believe that there was that someone in this whole world is actually, strong enough to actually take us down, when in reality, Fraudrin seems weak. But in reality, it's Zeldras himself that actually is pretty strong in this, because of the fact that his power is basically worship. His power is worship, folks. It's worship in itself, because the minute that anyone in any event turns around, a person will start worshiping the Ten Commandments. And yes, folks, that literally clearly sums it up as to why all those people are joining the leagues of the Ten Commandments, why they're actually, it's not out of fear, it's because the power itself is overwhelming, that it's almost like just mind control, basically. Just the minute you turn away, you're just mind control, and that's it. No one else is now clearly in their own right state of mind from there. And that kind of makes sense, too, as to how they're amassing their own army. And Zeldras seems to be kind of playing it smart, too, because instead of himself going along in the battlefield, he's actually going out and actually recruiting people for him. And that is actually smart in itself. He's actually amassing an army, and he's actually creating turmoil amongst the masses. Now that is actually pretty smart in itself. I gotta give credit to whatever Zeldras is doing, and that is actually pretty genius in itself. But Zeldras and Fraudrin, they were showcased right there, doing what they were doing right there. But yes, folks, even these two guys were actually shockingly amazed at Escanor's strength. They even felt it from far away. They weren't even close to the battlefield. They were at least a kilometer or two away, and they actually felt it. And they're like, "Oh my God, what is this immense strength that is coming from?" And yes, folks, that was Escanor's literally aurora, or however they want to pronounce it here. It's just this overwhelming presence that was next to Estarossa that actually was felt amongst the other Ten Commandments, even when they were far away. And that in itself says a lot about what Escanor's strength level is, that the Ten Commandments are actually fearing this person himself. And I love the fact that in the fight in itself, yes, folks, when they were fighting, even one of the Ten Commandments says, I don't even consider this guy a human, which goes along to say, is freaking Escanor even considered the human part of the race, or is it actually Bon or Merlin? Now I'm kind of confused, because remember, these characters are each supposed to represent from a certain clan. Now, Meliodas is supposed to represent the demon clan. If Bon is the human or Merlin is the human, and Diane is the giant, I'm clearly thinking Escanor might not be the but he might actually represent the goddess clan itself, folks. He might actually represent that. Because think about it, folks. The goddess clan hasn't shown up yet, but their showcases to be a very powerful race in itself that even Meliodas fears himself. So yes, folks, I believe Escanor probably might be from the goddess clan in itself and in its entirety, because no human has that kind of power within a body in itself. So he clearly must be on a whole different level right there. And clearly, folks, in this fight, oh my gosh, I actually was I read that chapter 3 times again when I read that. Even when I was at work, guys, I clearly read that like 5 times. The minute I read it, I'm like, oh my god, hold on. That did just not just happen, guys. Rewind that thing. Because this chapter, you can clearly feel the intense and adrenaline what these two characters are portraying in the chapter itself. And I love the fact that the lines that these two characters are also showcasing, it's so hilarious in itself. The puns they're using, they're just hilarious. The fact that Escanor is clearly he is clearly showing his prideful self right there in the fight. And then while the fight happens, Bond even himself was kind of worried. He's just like, oh man, that's gonna have me worried there for a second. But yeah, I knew it. I knew he would come back. Yeah, like I literally died of laughter at that. Even Bond was kind of like, even Bond is at the edge of his seat, and you know Bond he clearly does not get scared easily. So that just goes to show how these two characters are very portrayed well in this chapter. The intense, like I said, the intensity and adrenaline in this chapter is very intense. But I love the fact how they also started the fight in itself was the fact these two characters are just staring face to face, and Estarossa actually starts the fight. He gives a right hand, he gives a left jab, and he follows with a freaking roundhouse kick. And I'm clear, you're gonna be clearly at the edge of the seat. Well, in this chapter, clearly going, oh shit, like Escanor, what is going on with you? Fight back! And no, folks. Well, all that is happening. You clearly, Escanor is still okay. He's even still talking and saying, you know, oh man, no wonder I took damage from you, because it was from my attack. Like ouch, you know. He didn't feel none of the attacks that Estarossa was throwing at him, but he felt something that was thrown back at him, because during the fight itself, they actually show Estarossa's actual true powers, and that is that he actually has the full counter powers. And that actually kind of was a little shocking in itself, because there's not that many characters that actually have the same kind of powers they kind of showcase. They're either reincarnated, or if it's the same person, you know, like the thing with Elizabeth, you know, she's the same person, so she only has that same power. But clearly Estarossa has Meliodas' power, which goes along this line to say that you know, how is that possible? So basically these powers are borrowed powers then from the Demon King himself. That goes along this line as to say that these powers are only manifestations of the Demon King, and maybe the Demon King is actually, or he chipped away part of his soul into like 10 people, so that way they can wreak havoc on Britannia itself. That's what I'm kind of clearly thinking itself, because the fact that why is it only the full counter that is able to be duplicated, but yet they're like Bond's power or Escanor's power isn't really duplicated itself, which kind of makes you think a little bit as to why is that the only power that is actually duplicated. But yes, folks, going back to the chapter in itself, yes, that was beautifully amazing. That was beautiful, just beautiful. Oh man, you folks are not gonna be disappointed in this chapter. This chapter definitely took the cake. It's a freaking popcorn chapter itself. You know, grab a piece of popcorn and just start reading away, scrolling down with your mouse or phone, wherever you're at. You guys are gonna clearly enjoy this chapter. And also, in this chapter, it's kind of hard to hint at that. Is there an eclipse or something like that in the chapter? Because you can't really tell in itself. because the sun is out there, and that's the only time that Estarossa, that's when he kind of let his guard down too, and from that little moment in itself, that's when he started kind of taking damage from Escanor. Because remember, Estarossa started the fight, and he was, he was clearly, going one-on-one right there. But then he saw the sun, and that's when the minute he saw the sun, he was, clearly looking at it. That's when Escanor just said, "Oh, you know what? This is it. I'm gonna keep punching you and start attacking you right there." Which goes along that maybe this is the point of the highest peak of the day, or something. It's kind of hard to speculate until or maybe the sun is closer. Maybe one of the 10 Commandments brought the sun closer. We're not too sure as to what's really going on. But clearly there's something. The sun was shown itself. And remember, Nakaba, every time he shows something there, it's clearly meant for emphasis in itself. So we don't know what that little scene stood for. So I'm kind of looking forward to the next chapter as to what that sun was all about. But yes, folks, even at the end of the chapter, folks, ooh, my God, folks. We're going to be speculating because now Estarossa is actually going, like how he said, he actually joined, he did his full counter, and Escanor is now going to be actually going to showcase his true strength in this whole entire, series with Estarossa himself, and we're actually going to see what these two characters are going to be portraying as to what their powers can do in itself, and that is crazy. That is crazy right there. Because Escanor's was portrayed as, he is literally the sun itself embedded in that human body. Because the way that Kaba kind of was kind of like showcasing how Escanor was, he was melting the rock off the feet off the floor right there. And so just by stepping back just a little bit, folding his leg, and the freaking rocks just melting, you're clearly wondering what the heck is going on here. Like, wow. And that's how you know the next chapter is going to be the decisive blow, folks. And I can't wait for that little scene, because that's how you know that this fight has ended. That's it. It was just this one chapter. It was a great tease, but the next chapter is going to be the decisive blow. And now we're going to go on to what's going to be speculated as to, are the characters going to run away, or is it going to go back to Meliodas' little scene with him? That's what is probably going to be happening now. But that's it for today's chapter, folks. Like I said, I love the chapter in itself. It was very beautiful in itself. And you gotta love Bond's little entrance in itself. It was also like very, very, very hilarious. But like I said, folks, let me know what you guys thought about this chapter down in the comments below. What was your favorite part? What was your favorite one-liner from Escanor? It was like as if Team 4-Star made the freaking dialogue of this whole entire chapter. I was personally like dying of laughter at this whole chapter. But like I said, what do you guys think about this chapter? What was your favorite line? Or did you guys find Bond hilarious like I did? Oh, and what do you guys think about the double powers? Like I said, like the freaking duplicate powers. I am still shockingly a little swayed as to why is there two powers, and does it have to do something with the Demon King himself, folks? Let me know down in the comments below, like I said, thoughts and theories and speculations about what this chapter is bringing forth, guys. And like I said, folks, have a wonderful day. Give a like, comment, share, and subscribe if you guys enjoy my content. But this is Mr. Zen, signing out.